Oh, it's a bit hot today, guys. Sorry if I'm looking a bit sweaty on camera today. I'm not actually that sweaty, but I feel like I'm sweating bucket loads because I'm in the house and it's like 32 degrees here in the jolly old UK at the moment. Right, so this is How Do I Collect? This is a video response to Retro Import Gamer. Fantastic channel, fantastic guy. Some really insightful videos he puts out, which are really quite interesting. And he put a video, which I think was a response to somebody else's video, kind of explaining how he collects and kind of what the motivations are. Sorry for the creaks in my chair. And I found that really, really interesting. So I just thought that'd be a good kind of basis for me to put a video out today, just explaining kind of like how and why I collect all this kind of tat behind me, this useless junk. Now, in terms of collecting and just using the model from Retro Import Gamer, kind of link it back to my childhood. I was really kind of into like Star Wars toys, He-Man toys, or stuff like that, but I never collected them. You know, I played with them, enjoyed them. You know, they're all roughed up and used really well. And then once that particular fad, well, it turns out they weren't really fads, were they? They stayed with us for a lifetime. You know, once kind of interest died down for it, I'd just kind of box them all up, and myself and my parents just sell them all on. My dad was always meticulous about keeping boxes, instructions for toys and games and things like that. I think he really understood just the value of these things and how much kind of they would appreciate in future. And I'm really thankful for him for that, because I think growing up when he did, seeing when I grew up in the 80s, you know, consumerism was just gone wild, and children's kind of exposure to TV, you know, and all the cartoons and stuff related to it, you know, the toys and things like that, merchandise, Transformers, He-Man, etc. It was just, you know, it was the golden era, it was the start of it all. And he was right, because this kind of stuff's now worth a fortune, isn't it? Especially if it's in a box. So anyway, I play with toys and things like that in games, and you know, I kind of got my first computer, which was a Tandy TRS-80, hand me down from my uncle. And then we had an Amstrad, and I wouldn't collect the games, you know, they're all on tape. You'd play them, you'd toss them to the side. I've never really been a super organised person, but I never really collected them. And, you know, during the Amstrad years, like I was in the arcades a lot, and I really wanted that experience at home. And I think when the Mega Drive came, I had a Mega Drive, that's when collecting started, or the notion of keeping things, because, you know, Mega Drive boxes were in plastic boxes, like video cases. They're a bit more robust, obviously, than a cassette tape box. And I used to get the kind of official Sega plastic trays to kind of put your Mega Drive boxes in. And they're like a little computer desk. When my Mega Drive was on it, my old Sony CRT, oh my gosh, I still wish I had that. That was a Trinitron thing. Brilliant. SCART cable, SCART input on the back, it was amazing. And a box to collect my games, a tray box thing to collect my games. And that's kind of where it started, where I kind of realised the importance of kind of stacking stuff up. And but even then, with the Mega Drive, I didn't think I'd be kind of coming back and playing in 30 years. But that's just how good it is. So, you know, going through the various eras of consoles, you know, the kind of after Mega Drive, it was the SNES. Then I had a break in the mid to late 90s from gaming, because, you know, you're doing lots of interesting things like going out, watching football, going out with girls and stuff like that, having a great time. And then I got a PlayStation 1 in the late 90s. Again, didn't really store or collect. I'd play the games, I'd love them. Didn't really think I'd be returning back to them in 30 years. And like, gave the games away, or just kept them in the garage or whatever. And I honestly don't know what happened to my original PlayStation 1 and the games. PlayStation 2 era came along, got a PlayStation 2. Same kind of things, same kind of mentality I've had towards kind of VHS and DVD. Almost disposable. Just stick it in the bag, like, sell it or get in a loft out the way when you finish with it. Don't store, you know, don't collect and keep it. Cool, I've got to get some silicone grease on this gaming chair. It's squeaking like anything. So I think the big point came in about, you know, when I started collecting retro in about 2010, 2009. Me and my good friend James went to the Manchester Expo Retro Gaming Show. I think that's the title of it. We had a great time, and I picked up an NES for a £5. I got really into it, and you know, it was just a silly little hobby back then. Nobody was really interested. You could get lots of games on eBay for like £5 or something like that delivered, and I just started collecting the games. I didn't really store them or keep them in anything kind of neat. Kept them in cupboards and stuff like that. I just had a laugh with them. And then I started getting more and more consoles, and the stuff kind of all builds up. And I just keep them in cupboards. And then I've never really been like a completionist for games collections. My motivation isn't, oh, I've got a complete set, oh, that means everything. To me, it's the nostalgia of playing all the great games from my youth, and also getting things from my youth that I couldn't afford or couldn't get hold of, like a Neo Geo and all the games that I've got for that as well. I mean, that was just living the dream, getting my Neo Geo about 10 years ago. Never did I ever think I'd be able to afford a Neo Geo as a child. So that motivates me to kind of collect games, is the nostalgia. But, you know, like, when it was affordable, I've basically now got them at a point, very similar to Retro Import Gamer. I've got all the games and all the hardware that I want. There's novelty stuff I'd like a 3DO, a Jaguar, you know, and other stuff like that. But that costs a fortune now. It's crazy money. So at the point, I've got all the games and the hardware that I want. There's still some stuff out there that, you know, I might buy, but you know, in terms of how much it is now and the way that collecting costs, the expense is too prohibitive. I can't justify spending that money on stuff that I'm not going to play that much and just stay in the shelf. And an emulation is just a great way of playing some of these games now. And also it preserves the hardware, you know, you're not damaging your joypad, the console connectors, or wearing a disk drive out. So, yeah, I'm at that point now. I've got the collection. It's in no particular order. I've got all the games I could kind of ever want, all the consoles I could ever want, and I do feel like they're going to stay with me for life. But also I've got that kind of realistic edge to me as well, that this stuff here is just plastic. It's just a bit of fun, isn't it? And you know, ultimately, if I really needed how much this stuff's worth, don't really know how much it is because I've not got it valued. If I desperately needed the money or to do something life-changing, I'd probably cash in, you know, guys. I know this is controversial and I might change my mind, you know, this time next week. But if I wanted to do something big in my life, or someone kind of really needed my help, I probably would chop all this in, because I can still play all these games on emulation. You know, it's not a problem, with a lot less hassle of setting up the gear as well. So, yeah, my collecting process prior to all that was just to get games. They're cheap, they're affordable, get what you want to play, enjoy the nostalgia. And I've spent, you know, the last few years up until the point where I'm not buying more games anymore, just waiting for the right bargains to come through, you know, either getting them from Japan or looking the right price on eBay or in the game shops or charity shops, and just adding bits and bobs to my collection. I don't buy games really just for the sake of buying them, unless they're a mega deal like in a charity shop. So, as you can see, I'm kind of deep in thought here, and it is thanks to that Retro Import Games video on this. But yeah, so I've got everything I want now. I'm not going to really go out and buy any more games, really. There is no point. And there's no point shelling out money for stuff. I've never been too bothered about the game's condition or boxes. Apart from Neo Geo, they've got to be boxed and they've got to be instructions. Everything else, especially the cartridge stuff, I'm all about the game. So I'm not bothered about like them not having boxes and things like that. So a lot of Mega Drive games are unboxed. Most of my SNES collection's unboxed as well. So yeah, so that's all jumbled. It's all like been a bit of a stream of consciousness now. It's all a bit jumbled up, I think. But I hope you kind of get the gist of how I collect, or how I have collected. Because like I say, I've just got the stuff all in place now. All the games I want. If I want to have a go on an old system, I just get it out, plug it into my OSSC, and just, you know, play it here in my games room and have a good time. And that's what this has all been about, guys. The games. It's not been about, whoa, I've got like £100,000 worth of games, which I haven't. Or, whoa, I've got like a complete set, or, whoa, I've got this really rare sealed copy of such a game. No, it's about just enjoying those magic moments from my youth and just still playing classic games that hold up really, really well today. So yeah, I'm sorry if this was a ramble. I hope it kind of made sense. I've just been shooting from the hip on this video. Please check out Retro Import Games channel. It's amazing. If you want to do a video response to this, guys, about how you collect, I really appreciate you doing that. I know I've got some, I subscribe to me as well. Some people have got proper collections, or they've got all the collections for certain systems. I'd really like to hear a video response to this, but trying to get that, you know, that understand the mentality of how you collect and what makes you do it, guys. So thank you so much for your time. Please let me know as well if you want to put some in the comments about your collection, what you think about collecting in 2025. I'll be really, really interested. So yeah, video response or comments, whatever you want to do, I'd appreciate. Okay, keep it retro, guys.